Hello and welcome back to our panel discussion, The State of AI in Marketing. So thank you very much for joining our panel. On the panel, we have Michael Katzelberger from Katzelberger.ai,
Hello.
Michael Kollegger from Emakina, and Annelie Sattler from Accenture Song.
Yeah.
So just starting with a small housekeeping matter, since this panel will be later available on YouTube as a standalone clip, we would kindly ask all the participants for a short introduction. Annelie, maybe you would like to start.
Yeah, happy to do so. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Annelie. I'm part of Accenture Song, and I'm working more or less at the intersection of creativity, data, and experience design, creating the best possible experience for customers and businesses in Accenture Song.
So which one of the two Michaels? I mean, it's easier for the moderator today because it's Michael or Michael. But please, Michael Kollegger, if you would like to
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Michael Kollegger. I've been working with data for the last 35 years, 25 years of those intensively in the field of artificial intelligence. I'm the head of artificial intelligence for Emakina CEE, and I'm right there. I'm responsible for everything that has to do with artificial intelligence and data analysis and everything with data. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Thanks for having me here. I'm Michael Katzelberger. I've been working in the advertising industry for over 20 years now, and I supported large corporate clients like T-Mobile, Mazda, IKEA, MediaMarkt, and many others in their online advertising campaigns with my digital creative agency, Tunnel23, and with my new company I founded last year. I've now specialized completely in artificial intelligence in the creative industry.
So thank you all very much. Clemens, maybe you would like to start with a short view behind the mirror.
In the rear view mirror, yeah. I mean, we structured this panel also maybe for the audience is a little bit of a guidance. First of all, we talk what happened so far in the last 2 decades, actually. Where are we today? What is the role of AI? When did AI, let's say, suddenly start to play a role? The next part is then, second part, it's dealing about creativity, which is sort of the obvious choice when you have 2 people coming from the creative sector on a panel. We have to use this opportunity. And last but not least, it goes in the way of practical applicability. Was also several questions we received in the previous keynotes from Accenture, from Emakina, especially from Adobe as well. And last but not least, yeah, an outlook at the wrap up. So when we now start, with the first one, look in the rearview mirror. I mean, I think it was mentioned a couple of times today already. The current AI boom was more or less started by advertising companies. I mean, of course, they're famous for their tech savviness in search, or be it social networks or augmented reality and so on. But the business model at the core is more or less just selling advertisements. And selling advertisement means you need to have the right message to the right people at the right time. And starting with the rear view mirror, I would like to start with Michael, actually with Michael Kollegger. It's really confusing. We even have the same used the complete name. So I would start with you, Michael Kollegger, because I remember you spent a long time in the United States, and it would be interesting also for the audience to see how has the role of analytics evolved. Like, it used to be just descriptive, what is going on, to prescriptive, like what will happen, like forecasting and so on. So how, if you could give us a brief overview.
Okay, so artificial intelligence has been around for a very, very long time. So I have to be honest, I don't like the word artificial intelligence too much, because today we still use things like a logistic regression that was mentioned, I think the first time in 1805 or something like that. So what we saw in the past, or like I said, I've been working in artificial intelligence over close to 20 years. And back then, 20 years ago, it wasn't called artificial intelligence. It was what was called statistics. And a couple of years later, it was called business analytics. And again, a couple of years later, it was called predictive analytics and things like that. And Clemens, as you said, the whole thing started with, I would say, probably 15 years ago. With the media somehow got in touch with the whole idea, posted first articles, and it just went on from there. And additionally, the development of new machines, of new computers, of clustered cores and things like that also helped a lot in development. And nowadays, it's very easy to calculate or to create models in quasi real time or run models in real time, which was physically impossible like 20 years ago. So everything has to do with the media, and everything has to do, or the whole development has to do with the increasing power of the machines we have right now.
Thanks for the insight. Also, thanks for the pun. This is almost a sacrilege to say on an AI event. I don't want to call it AI, but maybe next time we call it the Applied Statistics Conference.
Yes.
Coming from the analytic side, moving to the creative side, and I would like to address this question to Michael Katzelberger. Because as you mentioned in your introduction words, you founded a digital agency, Tunnel 23. And how did you experience this shift to digital on the creative side of things?
Oh my God, I've seen many technologies come and go in the last 20 years, but none has fascinated me more than artificial intelligence. I know there's the thing with the term artificial intelligence. I know even the founders were not happy with that. But I call it AI because it sells better. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm in marketing, so I have to do
yes.
But I love the idea that a machine can have ideas one day. Yeah? And the idea is by far the most important thing in the creative industry. So if there are super intelligent machines in the future, they will also be creative one day. And I think they already are. That's what my new company works on. And with every new project, my excitement grows. So to answer the question, maybe I think it's the most important technology since the invention of digital marketing.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now in the second part, we would like to talk a bit about AI in creative. And what is very interesting to see here is that AI, and you also mentioned this, Michael Katzelberger, briefly, AI is pretty much, it's not straightforward the technology topic. It's always at the intersection of philosophy, culture, art, and technology. So you also see this in applications. There are lots of AI, let's say AI usage here, which is not strictly for business. Think of DALL-E. I think we had this today already a couple of times, where you input text and pictures are created. Or very large language models like GPT-3. Again, you give the model a couple of bullet points, and it will do the copywriting, or it will write a Google ad or a Facebook ad automatically. So what we would like to know from you is what sparked your creative interest in applying AI, or what are the most fascinating topics for you at the moment where AI is really used to create something? And yeah, let's start with Annelie here.
Yeah, happy to answer this question. So for me, AI is and will always be definitely an enabler. So it will never be a standalone product or an end in itself or something that fascinates because it's just AI. For me, it's really a powerful mean to better understand customers, to reach customers with targeted messages. One that really helps creators also to select the right messages for the audience, maybe. And also the fear which we had in the beginning, to come back to Michael Kollegger's statement on the beginning of AI and machine learning, you name it. So the fear of being replaced by AI was not confirmed at all. So I find that aspect very interesting, because actually opposite happened. So with really massive data sets we are having now, especially in marketing and data-driven marketing mainly, we still need human beings to make sense of it, to teach AI. So AI will, or is at least at the moment, and will be also for a longer term, I think, depend on our intelligence. And I think when AI, so artificial intelligence and human intelligence, go hand in hand together, there will come out the best experience, actually. And this is also true for all experience cloud efforts, which we also heard before from our Adobe colleague. So I see actually big opportunities in job creation, in creating of more relevant products, more relevant messages, and being more targeted and less spammed. And as you're asking also for a specific example, so I was thinking for a longer time about this question, but one example was maybe filters. Because this is a powerful tool which also helps creators in the end to manipulate images by generating new pieces of art, by generating new pixels, and can help to speed up workflows for those artists to achieve more realistic enhancements than maybe the artists would be able to do, and also in a faster time. One example is also, again, Adobe Photoshop, for example, with neutral filters, which uses AI to make various enhancements, including aging faces, changing impressions, zooming into photos even beyond resolution limitations. So I think as soon as you use AI for a product that's really relevant to the end user or to an employee, it's really powerful. And we have to recognize these moments of truth in AI.
Thank you very much. I find the points that you brought up especially interesting, because this is now the 13th event we are doing under the umbrella of AAIC, and we started almost exactly to the day 4 years ago in May 2018. And back then there was still a very broad public discussion: will the robots eat our jobs? And yeah, so basically in every keynote, this was a central element. No, the robots are not coming for your job. They can tell you if it's a cat or a glass, but this is like where the bucket stops. And now the discussion is shifting in the way augmenting human capabilities, like the examples you brought up. Perfect. So last but not least, the former US Michael Kollegger, which because you talked a lot in your keynote about analytics examples from retail, churn prediction, and so on.
Yes.
But when it comes to applied statistics and creativity, what sparked your interest the most?
Wow, that's a complicated question for me. I'm still the interest. I come from the mathematics background. I started out being interested in all the algorithms and stuff like that. And after time, of course, I knew that I couldn't survive alone on my mathematic instincts, so that I had to get out to the real world and try to find some application for that stuff. And it's always what I like about the whole idea about artificial intelligence is how we can enlighten our customers and tell them things that they did not know before. But there's certain retailers out there that have been in business for hundreds of years. And within a relatively short time, artificial intelligence helps us to understand what their business is and helps us to understand what is really going on with their customers. And most of the times, that's very different of what, or the ideas behind that are very different of what our customers had in their mind and based their decisions on in the past.
Michael, I very much like your interesting point, which is kind of like what I feel or take more the logical approach, right? Kind of like finding the insights, enlightening customers with findings that did not previously know. And there's always the huge controversy about artificial creativity. can there be something new created? And that's a question I would like to address to Michael Katzelberger, because you say you believe in artificial creativity. So what's an application that sparked your interest at the intersection of art and technology here?
Yeah. First, I have the biggest respect for all mathematicians and statistic guys who make this possible. I'm not a performance advertising guy, I'm more on the creative side, looking for the creative ghost in the machine. So I focused on AI applications that are able to deliver creative output. So I was pretty interested in the transformer architecture, GPT, GAN, and deep learning applications to compose music, for example. The piece of music we heard in the break was from us. So the progress in this field is fascinating. And the curve is like this.
Okay, so maybe we would like to turn to the last part of our panel discussion, talking a little bit also about the agency business, which went from analog to digital, so digital channels, digital tools. And maybe, Annelie, you could give us some more insight here where you think AI in creativity and creative sectors will have the largest impact here.
Yeah, maybe I can dock on what I have said before. So when we really accept that AI is never an end in itself, then we immediately come to the question of relevance, and everybody wants to be relevant, of course, but really how to understand the customer and how to bring the right message at the right time at the right moment is still a challenge. And this is where AI can really jump in. However, that's not always the best use case ever. So I also know from my professional life that clients often approach us willing to spend a good amount of money, but not in Austria mainly, to be at the very forefront of innovation. Yeah, they want to be the most innovative company in the world and come at the forefront of innovation, often with AI, of course, chatbots, big thing. But then I'm often playing a bit the role of the customer police or the customer relevance police, saying AI in the long run will succeed if it's, we heard it also from Fernando, but with a few preconditions. If it's built on trust, if it's run responsibly, so usually it means to be supervised and not running alone, unsupervised. That's always a bit dangerous. And when it creates relevance, so it's not an end in itself that you say, I want to be innovative, so let's do something with AI. Let's do something with AI. No, it's not going to work. You have to create a story around it and have to put it in context. Context is always key.
Great. So it's not solution in search of a problem, but take a problem and solve it even better with AI. So now actually comes the part where we still have prepared a couple of questions, but since this is a live event, maybe we can switch to Slido because the questions for the panel are now coming in and we want to use the remaining time to take the questions from the audience. So let me take the first one. That's from Patrick. Patrick is asking, how do you see the future role of humans in creative processes? In my opinion, we will be responsible for providing correct input and curating the results of AI creation. Yeah, this is obviously a question I would like to ask Annelie, because you are in the agency business. So what is your take on this one?
Yeah, fully agree for now, but I would not limit it to this for the future. As I said, it will always go hand in hand with a human. With human learning and human guidance, but human guidance might become less and less. So I think this will be the future state. And as also Fernando said, we're more in the desert, at the maximum in the forest of AI. And until we get to the jungle and the AI becomes a self-service, it will take quite a long time. So I would agree to this definitely for now. But maybe Michael Katzelberger can also add to it.
I think the agency of the future will have less people and AI as a backbone. So the agency of the future, in my in my mind, in my opinion, will scale via the machines and not humans. So
Good.
maybe a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I think so.
And now I have perhaps a little bit unflattering comparison, but when I hear this, I'm reminded of the incredibly exciting topic of accounting and bookkeeping. And if you look in old newspapers from the 60s, the headlines are saying, "Oh my God, accountants all will be put out of business because you have electric calculators." They were coming from Japan back then. And now with the benefit of the hindsight, the job of the accountant completely changed. But at the same time, you also have far more accounting companies. So in total, the number of accountants increased. Do you foresee something similar in creative, that like with better tools, it becomes easier to start your own creative agency or a small agency, and as a result, the total number will increase?
You asking me?
Yeah, both. Actually,
Yeah.
all three of you. It would be interesting to get your take if this is another, let's say, field where technology is lowering the bar, and as a result, you have more people participating in the workforce.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in this hybrid approach. So human and AI in symbiosis with the potential to create completely new creative ideas that would not have thought before. But I'm not sure if the agencies in Austria they are too big. I think there is not enough work for them. For 100 people in one agency, so the market is too small for that.
That's an important. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm finished.
Because it's a very important point. I really find it very smart, Clemens, your example and your comparison to the accountants. However, I think it's not the AI which is driving the greatness of the accountancy companies, but it's the market. And so it is also it's also true for agencies. If the market is not performing, if there is not enough ask and demand for agency work, it will shrink. Of course, it's not the AI which will be the key driver. But still, I would also agree that the more AI and the more data you have, you also need more agency people and creatives and creators to complement the picture. So you will probably never go alone with AI. You will still have the need the creative part.
Thank you.
I have an idea of my opinion to that. So in my opinion, AI is still just a tool. Of course, it's an enabler, but it's still just a tool, and AI won't do anything crazy in the next couple of years. Of course, there is going to be a change in in job structure. So NI is going to replace a couple of jobs probably in the near future, but on the other hand, a lot of different jobs are created. Like in an agency, agencies didn't have to work with a lot of work with data in the past, and nowadays, since they are going to switch over to a data-driven agency, they need to bring in different data guys or people that work with the data, prepare the data. So there's just probably a shift of jobs. So we will not lose any jobs by the end of the day in total numbers, but it's a shift in structure.
I would like to take the last answers on this question and kind of like to merge it with one question from the audience as a short roundup before we move to the conclusions of our panel. And the question is quite on spot and on point. AI has been along for quite some time now. Dr. Javad Zabaksh says for 25 years. And the question is, what's new basically in the creative industry? So maybe a short statement or take from all of you on this point.
I'm going to jump in there. Like I said, what's new is that the many big companies jumped on the bandwagon and provide now artificial intelligence service. They are big on marketing. So there's a lot of people get the word or the idea that artificial intelligence is out there, and it has become bigger and bigger over the last years. Like I said, it has been around. Artificial intelligence has been around for probably longer than 25 years. But with the help of the big companies and the big medias and newspapers and magazines and, of course, the internet, it just got to the point where we are right now. And it's going to be bigger over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I also have the feeling that the companies are getting also a bit more cautious about AI and are not so quickly into buying any AI solution, but really wanting to understand what it does and maybe also what risks it brings. And I think it's a really good trend, and I think it's important to also consult as a consultancy our clients in not only what excitement it brings, what benefits, but also their risks, as we need to talk openly about that. And the clients, different companies, CEOs, stakeholders, to also read newspapers, and they know what can happen with AI if it's not used responsibly.
Yeah. As I said before, I'm completely fascinated, and in addition to that, AI tools also help us enormously in research, production, saving time and money. So every client will profit from that.
So thank you all very, very much for your input. I think it's now time to hand over to you, Clemens, for a short roundabout and wrap up of our panel.
That's not a difficult part. No.
The challenge.
Challenge accepted. No, I mean, it was interesting to see, because I mean, obviously all of us had preparation talks, but what you were saying now, or let's say on this panel, also echoes what we heard both from the questions and what we saw in the keynotes. So point one is the topic of analytics was just evolving over the last 20 years, and whereas it used to be a relatively dumb tool, let's say analytics, think of a better calculator. Michael Kollegger also mentioned Microsoft Excel. Yeah, this is like the classic. You're now going to more sophisticated tools where you also understand the customer better. Understanding the customer better, but also means that you have tools which make it easier or empower you to serve your customers better. This can be like in the area of copywriting, can be in the area of more sophisticated Photoshop tools, as Annelie mentioned, and so on. What will be interesting to see is how the role of the agency plays out. I mean, of course, it's market driven, as the three of you said. But like, what will be the magic spot? Like, will there be lots of SME enterprises, or will you have like conglomerates which will dominate in the future? So this is still up for grabs. I think it's also, when it comes to ready-made solution, it will be very interesting to see what the startups especially present tomorrow, because there we also have many of them which are directly working in the field of enabling you to be, let's say, they don't enable you to be more creative, but they help you with the creative work, or they help you with the analytics and so on. So with this, I would also like to close the panel. Thanks a lot from all of you. And as always, if there's any information you would like to show to the audience or share with the audience, send us a few lines. We either make it via ticker or later when we make the send out. And last but not least, we will redecorate the stage again. And Michael Katzelberger, we will see you soon for your keynote in 5 minutes. So thanks a lot and enjoy your day.